Welcome back, Blue Shirts fans, to episode number 719 of the Locked On New York Rangers podcast. I'm your host, John Chick. Just want to thank you guys, as always, for making Locked On New York Rangers your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms. And the Rangers, just a couple of minutes ago, wrapping up a disappointing 5-3 home loss to the New Jersey Devils. Rangers got off to a great start in this game, scored 2 goals in the first 3 minutes and 1 second. They get a goal from Panarin, they get a stuffing goal from Mika Zibanejad, and after that, it basically all just kind of fell apart. One of the weaker games that we've seen Igor Shesterkin play this season, but once again, as has been the case pretty much the entire year, Igor certainly did not get a lot of help from his teammates. Of the 4 goals that the Devils scored, not counting the empty netter, 3 of them came off of turnovers, and that's not to say that Igor couldn't have and shouldn't have made the stops on some of these. He certainly could have, and like I said, he certainly did not have his A game in this one either. But Igor certainly had some accountability after the game as well, because this actually just popped up on Twitter. I've got it on my phone right here. But this is what Igor said about his own performance after the game. The goalie played a bleep game again. He did not say bleep, but I'm saying bleep. The goalie played a bleep game again. I'm ashamed. And that's tough. Igor obviously being tough on himself, and we'll kind of get into the Devils' goals in just a little bit here and kind of break them all down and try to figure out what went wrong. It's tough because the Rangers, it goes back to this never-ending theme for the first quarter plus of the season now. This team cannot play a full 60. They got off to an excellent start here, the 2 early goals, and I thought in the third period they played great too. They were out shooting the Devils something like 18-4 when it was getting pretty late into the third period, and obviously, got one back. The goal by Vincent Trocheck, that cut the Devils' lead from 4-2 down to 4-3. Couple of chances, down the stretch with the goalie pulled and looking for that equalizer, but obviously just could not make it happen. And, the Rangers right now, they're not at the Devils' level. I mean, the Devils are right now what the Rangers were last season. The Rangers right now, they're not, they responded a little bit to adversity tonight because they did play very well in the third period, did the Rangers. But overall, big picture, they're not responding to adversity. The Devils got off to a terrible start in this game. They gave up 2 early goals. The second one was, I would say, a soft goal let in by Vanacek. He had a shot hit him right in the chest, popped up into the air, fell into the crease, and then Mika stuffed it home. But they're not dwelling on it, and they're getting back up. And that's something that we saw so often from the Rangers last season. We haven't seen it nearly as much this season. And like I said, I thought the Rangers did have a nice response in the third period, at least make a game out of it and keep the Devils from really running away from it. But, listen to what I'm talking about right now. I'm talking about a game in which the Rangers were up by 2 goals, and, well, you know what? They made a game out of it, at least. They came back. They tried hard in the third period. That's kind of where we're at right now. I think that sums it up pretty much as good as anything else does. And, another big difference right now is that the Devils are getting more contributions from their younger players than the Rangers are. And look, it's still early. There is still time to turn this thing around. But another theme that's been established early in this season, and it's something that I've talked about on this podcast as well, is something that I've been saying a couple of times and kind of been warning everybody about, is that if the Rangers keep going this way, at a certain point, it stops being like a fluke and like, well, that game got away, or not really sure what was going on there. You start to expect this. And a big problem for the Rangers right now is that, and I talked about this in the Locked On Now video that we do after some of these games, the short video that I'll eventually post on Twitter. It is really, really difficult as a Ranger fan right now to feel comfortable, to feel calm, to feel confident when this team has a lead, because we've seen them squander so many leads this season. It's honestly kind of amazing. You would think with a goalie as good as Igor Shesterkin, with a defense group that's as good as we thought the Rangers had coming into the season, with the big 4 of Fox, Lindgren, and Miller and Trouba, although Miller and Trouba, of course, their struggles have been well documented, and the Rangers just too many turnovers, just not getting the job done defensively. And so for all those reasons, it's just impossible to feel good when this team has a lead right now. It's just a tough way to watch hockey because, and again, I know I keep comparing them to last season, but again, I think these comparisons are unavoidable because, last year, if the Rangers had a game last year, and forget about playing, this year's version of the Devils who were very good or last year's version of the Devils who were very bad, regardless of whether they're playing the Devils or any of their division rivals or any team in the Western Conference or whoever it might be, if the Rangers got off to a start in a game last season, like the one that they had in this game here tonight, again, storming out of the starting blocks, looking like they mean business, looking like they're for lack of a better term, pissed off from what happened in the last game, obviously blowing the 3-goal lead against the Edmonton Oilers. If the Rangers did what they did tonight last season in the first 3 minutes, then I would have said, man, we're on our way. You know, this is going to be a really fun night. Rangers are going to bring it. They're going to outwork their opponent. They're going to break the will of their opponent. They're already up 2-0. Man, they're going to go on to win this one like 5-1 or 6-1 or something along those lines. Igor Shesterkin is going to be the best goalie in the universe. The Rangers are going to get contributions up and down the lineup. They're going to make things happen on the power play. They're just going to play good, hard, smart Ranger hockey. And this year, like I said, it's a complete 180. When they're in situations like this, I don't feel that good. There is not a lead in hockey. You know, a lot of people like to talk about the 2-goal lead in hockey and how that's the most dangerous lead in hockey. I would beg to differ. I would say a 1-goal lead is more dangerous by the very nature of the fact that you're only up by 1 goal. But the bottom line, there is not a less secure lead right now than the Rangers holding a multiple goal lead, particularly at home, because they've given away so many of these. There was actually a game earlier this season. I'm trying to think. It was actually a game that they didn't end up losing, but it might have been against the Ducks. They were up 2-0 against somebody, and then that team came back and tied the game pretty quickly. Rangers went on to win that game. But, you know, it's easy to look at the losses that they've had. Okay, this game against the Devils, up by 2 goals, they lose that. Up by 3 against the Oilers, they lose that. Up by 2 against the Red Wings, they lose that. Up by 2 against the Islanders, they lose that. All these games, this is the first quarter of the season. And this is just off the top of my head. There might be a couple that I'm forgetting. And these are multiple goal leads, all these games at home. And the Rangers can't find a way to hang on to them. It's mind-boggling. And it's just, again, in such stark contrast to everything that we saw this Ranger team do this past season. And in just a second, like I said, I want to go ahead and break down the Rangers' fast start. I want to break down some of the goals that the Devils scored in this game because, you know, the proof is in the pudding right now as far as everything that I just talked about. The Rangers just shooting themselves in the foot on pretty much every goal that the Devils scored. A combination of defensive lapses or bad turnovers or a soft goal let in by Igor Shesterkin, because I thought this was one of the weaker games that we've seen Igor play so far this season. Obviously, he was very tough on himself after the game. So, at the very least, the silverest of silver linings, Igor, very accountable after the game, put this one on himself. Certainly not going to point the fingers at his teammates, although I would argue that they certainly did him next to no favors in this game. But like I said, we're going to get to all that good stuff in just a second. But first, just got to let everybody know, today's episode of Locked On New York Rangers is brought to you by BetOnline.net. BetOnline.net is your number one source for sports betting info, stats, news, and analysis. Get the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league out there, from football to basketball to hockey to soccer and esports. We've got it all at BetOnline.net. And if you love sports podcasts, you can find those at BetOnline as well. We are always the fastest and easiest way to get your betting fix. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more. BetOnline, where the game starts. All right, like I said, we're going to keep everything rolling here. You know, the Rangers entered this game having won 9 out of 10 against the Devils, but very clearly this is a much different Devils team this season. They came in winners of 18 out of 20, and it kind of leads me into something that I'm going to talk about in just a minute here when we break down these goals scored by the Devils. I do want to talk about the Rangers' fast start first, but you can't make the kinds of mistakes and turn the puck over the way that the Rangers did in this game and expect to win the game against anybody, much less a team that's coming into your building having won 18 out of the last 20. And that obviously ended up costing the Rangers in this game, the turnovers. And like I said, let's start with some good stuff and the 2-0 lead that the Rangers built in the first period. So obviously, Rangers shuffle the deck a little bit. They go with some new line combinations. You've got Panarin now out there with Hedl and Kakko. You've got the top line went back to what it used to be. Mika with Kreider and Vesey. The third line now, of course, would be Lafreniere, Gaudreau, and I don't have the line combinations in front of me, and it's kind of slipping my mind. But honestly, you know, the line combinations are beside the point. The Rangers just didn't get the job done in this game here. But I do want to break down the first couple of goals that were scored by the Rangers in this one early in the first period here. So you got Filip Chytil moving hard up the left side, and I thought Filip Chytil was maybe the Rangers' best forward on this night. He looked explosive, looked like he was out there looking to make things happen. But he moves hard up the left side, dishes across the ice to his right to Artemi Panarin, and Panarin scores, shoots and scores. Nice to see Panarin break out of his slump we thought we saw in the last game against Edmonton. Of course, that goal was disallowed, but this puts the Rangers up 1-0. And Hedo, man, great play on this. Like I said, he just exploded up the left side of the ice, showing off that speed that we know that he possesses, and really kind of sold that he was going to end up taking the shot here, even though I think most players in this situation would pass. And of course, Hedo ended up passing after all. But yeah, held onto the puck for as long as he could, made it look like he was going to shoot, and then slipped a pass under the stick of the defenseman. It goes to Panarin, and Panarin deposits it into the net there, and Rangers up 1-0, just 1:20 into the action. And then this goal that I alluded to a little bit earlier, you get a shot off the chest of Vanacek. Puck falls into the crease. Mika stuffs it home. 2-0 Rangers, just 3:01 into the game. You had on this play, Miller had passed across the blue line to Trouba. Trouba's shot hit Vanacek in the chest. Vanacek could not handle it. You had Kreider and Mika both whacking away, and Mika, of course, stuffs it home. Nice to see a dirty goal here. There haven't been enough of those this season for the Rangers. And look, I mean, the Rangers caught a break here, and you're thinking maybe things are going to finally go their way a little bit. Maybe a good goalie like Vanacek, who I believe they said his goals against average is second in the league coming into this. Bottom line, he's been great for the Devils. Maybe he's going to have a little bit of an off night, and the Rangers can take advantage. But obviously that didn't end up being the case. He played very well after this, but the Rangers scored 2-0. And something that I think is like kind of telling here is that, again, I talked about responding to adversity and how the Rangers have not done nearly as good of a job of it this season as they did last season. Well, here's the Devils responding to adversity, doing their impression of the 2021-2022 New York Rangers. This could be a demoralizing start for the Devils or really any team in hockey. You go in there, you're on a roll lately, but you're down 2-0 before you can blink, and your goalie gives up a softie. And the Devils, they know how good Vanacek has been this season for them, and I feel like there was almost kind of, from their point of view, kind of galvanized them a little bit, and it was like, you know what, man, we got you. And the Devils did indeed have him, once again scoring 4 unanswered goals after this. But I don't know, it'd be nice to see the Rangers pick up Igor Shesterkin every now and then, because obviously he didn't have his A game here. And again, a lot of this loss, I do have to put some of it on Igor Shesterkin, but it would be nice to see that kind of a response from the Rangers at similar situations this season. And hopefully it's coming, but we're a quarter of the way through the season, and that kind of, response to adversity that we grew so accustomed to seeing the Rangers do last season, it just hasn't been there so far this season. It was there for the Devils in this game, whether we like it or not. So, bottom line, Rangers are up 2-0. You're happy. You feel kind of good, but certainly not as good as you should feel being up 2-0, 3:01 into the game, because there's a long way to go, and hanging on to leads has not exactly been a strong point for the New York Rangers this season. Igor made an excellent save against Nico Hischier right after this. 2, in fact. He made a sliding save and then a glove save. Devils came back in. Tatar scored on a backhand. I'm not really sure what happened here. It was a good shot by Tatar, good shot placement. Cuts the lead to 2-1. But, the Rangers lost a board battle, a couple of quick passes by the Devils. And Igor, I don't know if he got fooled or didn't expect Tatar to take this shot, because Tatar was at kind of a tough angle and had it on his backhand. But regardless, he let it fly, and it goes into the net, and it was 2-1. And something else I noticed on the bench after this was Tatar was kind of yelling to his teammates, like not in a mean way, but kind of a let's go kind of way. And going forward, I want to see a little bit more of this from the Rangers. There's some of it, but I want to see it happen a little bit more often. I want to see guys kind of challenging each other and let's go, let's pick it up, that kind of thing. Notice that from Tatar here. Haven't seen enough of that from the Rangers this season, watching them interact with each other when they're on the bench. I also want to talk about this wonderful play by Jacob Trouba here. And, man, I know he's playing through some nagging injuries, quote-unquote, right now, and I get the feeling that probably is certainly working against him, but Jacob Trouba hasn't been good this season, and I've gone to bat for him throughout pretty much the existence of Locked On New York Rangers. I think there's times where he takes a little bit too much heat. There's times where I think he is certainly a target due in large part to the big contract that he has, and now probably going to be even bigger of a target given the fact that he's got the C on his sweater, and I know some Ranger fans still are not happy about that, but I got to be fair here. I have stood up for him in the past. He just hasn't been good this year. There's no other way to say it. And on this play, this is really bad. He's got the puck. He's about to skate it out of the Rangers zone. I don't know if he was just unaware or what, but Devils sneak up behind him. They pick his pocket. And just like that, the Devils have an offensive zone possession that they should not have. They end up scoring. Sharangovich, kind of a follow the bouncing puck kind of play a little bit. I don't know what happened. I think like the puck was in the corner and it kind of deflected off of, I think, maybe Carpenter and went to Sharon Govich. Sharon Govich, turns around, pulls the trigger, scores 2-2 at that point. And again, Trouba, it was an easy clear of the zone. He just had to skate away with it, but wasn't really moving as fast as he could and had his pocket picked, and that was just not good. And, of course, Miller and Trouba on the ice for another goal. That's their 20th, which I think now leads the league because in our most recent episode, we talked about how they've been out there together for 19 goals against, and that was tied for worst in the league at that point. So, yeah, unfortunate. Obviously, again, Rangers just kind of shooting themselves in the foot here, and it's not good, and it's a trend that's got to stop at some point, and it's got to stop sooner rather than later if the Rangers are going to take control of their season. We're going to keep going, keep breaking down everything that went wrong on some of these other Devil goals here, and just have some general thoughts about this one before we call it a night here. We will do all that in just a second. All right, so second period. The Rangers had a great first shift in the second period, kind of swarming a little bit. Fox with a cross-ice pass for Mika. Mika had an empty net and just kind of shot it wide, and that's just kind of the way it's been going for the Rangers so far, this season, basically. Could have put the Rangers back up, doesn't happen. Then, Filipino with an opportunity. He had a chance right from the slot area. I mean, high danger scoring area to be sure, and takes the shot. Vanacek makes a pad save. Devils lift the puck out of the zone. Hughes picks it up, kind of just bolts up the ice, goes in, and 5-holes Igor Shesterkin. Lindgren was trying to close on Hughes, couldn't quite catch up to him. But I think this one's on Igor. I think he's got to make this save. I realize Hughes is a great young player in this league. He's off to a great start this season. But I don't even know what happened with Hughes here. It kind of looked like he went with the old changeup. Every now and then, you'll see players do this on the shootout. Every now and then, they'll kind of try to fool the goalie by just essentially letting the puck slide off of their stick and hopefully roll through the 5-hole and into the net. I'm not even sure Hughes did it on purpose here. Maybe he did, but it almost looked like he lost control of it, went through the 5-hole, and just got through Igor, goes into the net, and just like that, before he can blink, the Rangers are down 3-2. And again, it's just, I want situations like this, first of all, to be less commonplace. Secondly, to be more surprising whenever they do happen. Because to see the Rangers be up 2-0 early in the first period and be down 3-2 early in the second period, it's just not that surprising anymore based on everything that we've seen in the first quarter of this season. That's kind of a theme that's being established right now, and the Rangers really, really need to snap out of it sooner rather than later. So, another couple of plays in this game. I do want to talk about the goal that made it 4-2. There was actually a play, though, where Igor came way out of his net. That's another thing about Igor. I don't think he's been quite as sure-handed playing the puck this season as he did or as he was in previous seasons. Last year, you can always get burned by that if you're a goalie and you're really aggressive in playing the puck. But Igor was so good at it and made so many good passes up the ice and always seemed to play the puck to a good spot that I never really worried about it too much. This year, though, I think there's been a couple of hiccups here and there, a couple of times where it's actually led to a goal, and a couple of other times where it's come close to leading to a goal for the opposition, including this one here, because Igor came way out of his crease, tried to pass the puck in a neutral zone. I mean, he did pass the puck into the neutral zone, but the Devils intercepted it, knocked it down, and Igor's kind of like back skating and trying to get back to his net. The Devils throw it at the Ranger net. Igor reached up with his glove and snagged it and played it away. So, I mean, I guess no harm, no foul, but that was a bit of a heart-stopping moment there for sure. Then you have Braden Schneider, who I do think overall has played well this season, but really bad turnover in the neutral zone. He's on the Rangers side of the red line, tries to make a pass up the left wing, but it gets intercepted. Devils are really kind of clogging the neutral zone in this one. Wood is led into the Rangers zone. He hits the crossbar. The puck is just laying there, and the Devils stuff it in. It's 4-2. Kind of looked like Zach Jones was trying to clear it, and it hit off of McLeod and went into the net. But either way, obviously not a good sequence there for the Rangers. Another turnover leading to another goal for the Devils. And what happens right after this? Well, no Ranger game right now would be completely complete without a terrible penalty or two, and this was one of the first ones of the game for the Rangers. Jacob Trouba called for interference. He was arguing it. The Devils dumped the puck into the Rangers zone, and Trouba and a Devil forward were near each other along the boards. I think Trouba might have been contesting that the puck was touched by the Devil, and then Trouba hit him, but it didn't look like any contact was made. So, I don't know. To me, it seems like a fair call, calling the Ranger captain for interference at that point. Fortunately, the Rangers were able to kill off the Devil power play. But the Rangers, again, up 2-0 early, and now going to the third period, down 4-2. So not good there. And we will... Actually, we'll just keep going with this right now. We want to certainly break down this third period because, like I said, I thought the Rangers played a heck of a lot better in the third period. I guess, again, if there's a silver lining, there's not much of one, though, because the Rangers have now dropped 3 straight games. They had that really nice win against the Los Angeles Kings on the road trip, down 2-0 after one period, come storming back and win that one 5-3. Yeah, they've lost 3 in a row since then, including losing to a Ducks team that hadn't won a game in regulation to that point, then losing to the Oilers when you're up by 3 goals with 15 minutes to play, and now losing to the Devils, a game that you led 2-0 just 3 minutes into the game. Not exactly a banner stretch for the New York Rangers here, for sure. But the third period was good for the most part. Rangers had a power play chance and a couple of good chances, a couple of good saves by Vanacek. Like I said, Vanacek was really good in this one after that soft goal that he let in, the second goal the Rangers scored on this night. Panarin had a great chance. It's another silver lining here. Panarin's starting to shoot the puck a little bit more often, which is good. He had a chance at the very tail end of this power play early in the third period. It was fought off by Vanacek, and the Devils skated away with it. Trocheck with a really nice play. Devils had a 2-on-1, and he was the lone guy back, and he went down and just kind of smothered the puck, ended up limping to the bench, and of course, Trocheck scored a little bit later in this game as well. Then you get another bad penalty by the Rangers. I should rephrase my thoughts that the Rangers had a good third period. They did if you overlook the bad penalties, which of course you cannot do. So I guess the third period was something of a mixed bag. But Lafreniere takes a tripping penalty in the offensive zone. He tripped Hughes, behind the Devil net. Devils go to the power play. Rangers end up killing it off, so that was good as well. But it was a rough night for Lafreniere. There was this play, and there was also a play at the end of a power play. Jacob Trouba took a shot, from the blue line. The rebound went right to Lafreniere, and he's got some space in front of him and some options as far as what he could do with the puck, but the problem is he never corralled the puck. I don't know if it took a bad hop or whatever it was, went over his stick, and the next thing you know, instead of the Rangers still being in business in the attacking zone, the Devils have an odd man rush going the opposite way. So not a good night for Lafreniere either. Not a good night for really that many Rangers. I mean, they did come back strong in this third period here, but too many instances of just having lapses and just shooting yourselves in the foot. And I'm getting tired of saying it, but repetitious or not, it's what's going on with the Rangers this year. It's just a case of shooting yourself in the foot over and over and over again. The one other thing that kind of drove me nuts in this game was at the very end, and I'm not going to put this loss on the referees, but I will say, for a crew of referees that were calling this game pretty tight for the most part, they sure did swallow the whistle down the stretch here, because Rangers are down 4-3. They cut the lead to 1 goal, and you got Philip Hedl. He's in the corner. He was clearly boarded not too long after this on the same shift. Capo Caco clearly tripped along the boards, and nothing was called there either. So not really a whole lot you can do. I mean, Wes McCauley was calling this game, so what do you expect? The Angel Hernandez of the NHL. But, the Rangers, 2:04 left. They call a timeout, pull the goalie. Got a couple of chances, but Devils keep it out. And eventually, Sharon Govich gets the empty netter. And just like that, 5-3 Devils with just 15 seconds remaining. And the Rangers well on their way to their third consecutive loss. And, again, they played well at times in this game. But the overarching theme here is that this team cannot play a full 60. And it's just getting very, very frustrating. They're going to need to do it sooner rather than later, like I said, and I hope that starts. They got 2 games against the Ottawa Senators coming up. The Senators, last time I checked, were in last place in their division, but the Rangers need to bring it, and they need to go to work, and they need to understand that, they're not going to win on skill alone. No team in this league, I don't care who you are, no team in this league is good enough to win on skill alone. It takes some grit along with it, and the Rangers, they need to go to work when they play this Ottawa Senators team. So I figure we'll call it a little bit earlier than we've been calling it. I think with all these losses piling up, we could probably all use a little bit of a break here. Again, just a case of the Rangers just kind of shooting themselves in the foot. I know I keep saying it, but that's what keeps happening. So as long as it keeps happening, I'll keep saying it. But yeah, that'll pretty much do it for tonight, guys. Once again, if you'd like to get in touch with this podcast, please send an email to lockedonnyrangers@gmail.com. Once again, that is lockedonnyrangers@gmail.com. And definitely give us a follow on Twitter as well, @LO_NY_Rangers. Once again, that is @LO_NY_Rangers. And definitely subscribe to Locked On New York Rangers, YouTube channel. Thanks again, guys. I'll see you next time. Thanks for making Locked On New York Rangers your first listen every day. For your next listen, check out the Locked On Sports Today podcast, the biggest stories of the day, plus instant reactions, big game recaps, and the take of the day. Available on the Odyssey app, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts.